Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Sub That Tutorials and More. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss out on any new videos, and check the video description for a link to the Sub That Learning Library app. Inside of our app, you can find all of our free tutorials in neatly organized content libraries with the basic free membership, and choose to subscribe for access to exclusive content, including all of our different masterclasses and exclusive help, support, and sharing communities. In today's tutorial, I am going to be showing you how to sublimate a disc fan. Now, if you have not seen these are just so much fun because they fold up nice and easily, stay in this little pouch. They're perfect for any hot weather seasons or locations because they can fit in your pocket, fit in a purse, even potentially fit in like a clutch or a larger size wallet. So I'm going to go ahead and flip things around, show you what we're working with today. We'll get our measurements and we'll get our design set up for printing. Here's a look at our Sublimation disc fan. As you can see, they're fairly thin. It is polyester material, and then there is a thin wire that is around the edges that helps the fan hold its shape. Now, if you haven't seen this type of item before, these are really easy. Kites in the 90s, like kites that you fly outside, they were like this. I don't know if they're still like this because I haven't seen a kite in quite some time, but you just twist them and they fold down on themselves, and then you can tuck it in its little pouch. And then it's perfect to fit inside of a larger wallet, a purse, your pocket. It's really great for all ages and to have on your hand during the summer. I love this, especially if you're going to like theme parks or just going to be outside for an extended period of time, because you don't really need a lot of effort to give yourself cooling with this. It really does push a lot of air, probably better than any other hand fan that I've seen, and the convenience of it in the pocket is just a great little selling point. So we're going to go ahead and get our measurement here. And it looks like we're right at 9 7/8. I'm going to do just 2 measurements simply because things aren't always exactly round. In this case, that other measurement is 10 inches. So I believe these are advertised as a 10-inch fan. What we will do is, of course, make it a little bit bigger so we can have that full bleed. You can also choose to do it smaller if you want to just focus on this area and not have to worry about that wired edge. Both are acceptable options. So we're looking at 10 inches for our fan. Now, you can sublimate the pouch or not. Totally dealer choice if you decide to do that. For this, I would really just do a square design because, as you can see, the stitching is a little funky. So we're going to get our maximum measurements, which we're looking at. For a width, we're looking at 3 7/8. And for that height, we're looking at 4 inches. So we're going to say we're going to do 4 inches by 4 inches with a little bit of bleed room. All right, let's go ahead and set up our design in Affinity Designer. We are working in Affinity Designer 2.0 on a Windows PC. If you are using version 1.0 or a Mac version of the software, you may notice some differences in the user interface, but the steps that you will follow will be the same. We're going to start by coming to File and then New or New Document and opening up a document that is the page size that we are planning on printing on based on our design measurements and in the orientation that our printer feeds the paper. For most of you, this is going to mean choosing an 11 by 17 page and having it set to portrait orientation. This will fit that 10-inch by 10-inch measurement that we have, and you'll have a little bit of extra room to be able to do the pouch if you would like to do that. Now, for me, I'm actually going to use the 24-inch wide roll option for the Epson SureColor F570 Pro. I could use the 17-inch by 12-inch, but I want to do the design doubled and I want to make it easy to line it up. So I am going to do the 24-inch. That will give me enough room to have those two pieces match up so that when I fold it in half, they should line up perfectly together. And I'll use my little light up thing to make sure that they do before I press this. So even though the fan is really thin, you absolutely could do it double-sided this way. And as long as you have like some way to make sure that everything's perfectly lined up, it's totally worth it. If you don't have that, just stick to one. I promise it really doesn't make a difference for your customer. I just really like being able to do things double-sided and taking advantage of the 24-inch wide page option. This is rolled paper that comes with the Epson SureColor F570 Pro. So I have this set to 24 inches by 12 inches. We want to make sure our DPI is set to 300. Underneath our color tab, color format should be set to RGB/8 for sublimation with the color profile sRGB IEC 61966-2.1. I always make sure my margins and bleed lines are turned off, so just set to 0 or deselected. And once you have all of your settings ready, you can click Create. Next, we're going to come to our Ellipse tool and set this to the measurements that we got for our disc fan, which was 10 inches, and we want to add just a little bit of extra so that we have some bleed. So I'm going to select that Ellipse tool from the Tools panel located in the left side of your Studio interface. And when you see that crosshairs, simply click and drag across your canvas. Next, come to your Transform panel located in the bottom right side of your Studio and manually enter in your measurements, making sure that your aspect ratio is not locked. So when it's locked, you will see these little arms. When it's not locked, you will not. So we're going to do 10 inches plus a half an inch just to have some good bleed. So that comes out to 10.5. And I will do that for both the width and the height. And after that, you can lock that aspect ratio just to make your life a little bit easier. Now for the fan itself, I'm planning on doing a full bleed design, so I am going to simply just import a digital paper and clip that inside of this ellipse. You can do this by coming to your Place tool or your Place Image tool, which is this little photo icon in the toolbar, or by coming to File and then Place. Now I just downloaded some digital paper from Creative Fabrica that was beach themed. They have thousands upon thousands of digital papers from various artists that you can choose from. I thought all of these were just really beautiful and kind of perfect for this project. I think that I'm going to go with, I'm kind of torn between this one with the cute little heart and this one up here. We're going to do this one with the little heart. I think that one's actually really, let's do this one. I'm indecisive. When you see the downward arrow with the portal, you can simply click and drag until you're completely covering that ellipse. Go ahead and kind of move that so it's centered over top of your ellipse. If you don't see those snapping guides, those red and green lines that you see right there, you can activate them by making sure that your magnet icon is selected up in your tools bar up at the top. Now come to your ellipse layer and then to your color panel with that ellipse layer selected. For the filled circle, choose No Fill, and then click on the open circle and choose No Fill. Now you won't be able to see this on your canvas, but when it's selected, you can see this blue boundary line. Next, we're going to take that digital PNG layer that we brought in, and we are going to click and drag so that we can drag it inside. So what you're going to do is make sure that you click and hold on the icon picture, and then when your cursor tip is touching the name of that ellipse layer, release. And now you have this clipped inside. When we look over at our document, we can see our boundary box for that digital paper when that layer is selected. And we can just resize this a little bit so that we get more of this digital paper inside of our circle. So just kind of bring it in from the corners until we have it all in just like that. Now, if you wanted to isolate a certain part of your digital paper, you can also move it within there as well, which might require you to size it a little bit bigger and then kind of move it around. So if I move this a little bit bigger, for example, now I can have more of the seashells and less of the water. So you can kind of play around with whatever it is that your personal preference ends up being for this kind of project. Now I do want to have this doubled, as I had said. So what we're going to do is come over to our layers panel. We want to make sure this is on one half of the page if you're using this 24-inch wide paper. If you are using 11 by 17 paper, you're just going to want to make sure you mirror it. So I'm going to right click and duplicate. And so it's right on top of them at this moment, but then I'm going to choose the flip horizontal option. And then I'm just going to bring it right onto the other side of it. Now I want to make sure that these are lined up evenly or centered on the page. So I'm going to click and drag to select both of them, come up to my alignment tools, which is this one that looks like a bar graph, and then choose Align Middle with the Align Vertical option and click Apply. So that just made sure that we were aligned on middle to middle. The idea here is that when we print this, we will be able to fold the paper in half and have this line up so that we can print both sides and it will have a seamless look between them. You won't have any like weird discrepancies. It's perfectly fine if there's a little bit of space in between them, but what we want to do is make sure they're centered on our page. That will make our lives a lot easier. So I'm going to click and drag those. I'm going to right click and group, and then I'm going to come back up to those alignment tools and I'm going to choose to align center for horizontally, click apply, and now this is ready to print. If you want to do the pouch, you can repeat these same steps, just using a 4-inch by 4-inch square with a little bit added. I've already gone ahead and done that, so I will be printing both of those out. Not everyone wants to do the pouch because it feels like an extra step, but that is still an option for you. So when we're ready to print our file, we come to File, Print, choose your printer from the drop-down menu. I'm using my Epson SureColor F570 Pro. Then select Properties. Now this is where you will set your ICC profile and any color correction settings that you have. If you have the SureColor F570 Pro, you want to come to where it says document size, make sure that this is set accordingly. So I am using my 24-inch by 12-inch roll, which should be here. There it is. That option. Make sure that the picture is the correct orientation. So we want this to be a portrait. Click OK. I know that normally this would mean landscape, but it's just how the measurements were entered in when I did it. We're going to come to source. I have rolled paper selected. Roll paper width, I have the 24-inch paper selected. And for my media type, we are doing textile, so I will just switch that. I usually deselect the print preview if it isn't already deselected, and then click OK. You should see a print preview right here in Affinity that lets you know everything is set. Click OK again to send this off to print. We're going to go ahead and pre-press this for about 30 seconds. This will allow us to also make sure our pressure is right on our heat press and just get out any of that moisture so that we can have a nice crisp transfer. Anytime you're pre-pressing textiles, you want to go for a minimum of half of the time your full press will be. So in this case, that would be 30 seconds. And we are working at 385 degrees Fahrenheit today. Now we do want medium pressure for this, medium firm. You can see I've got it set to 6 and it's at a 7. I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit when we're done. If you live in an area that is high humidity, you want to make sure to press textiles a little bit longer during that pre-press phase, just to make sure you get all of that atmospheric moisture out. The number one cause of ghosting is in fact from that moisture in there and those fibers shrinking when they're exposed to the heat to push out that moisture. This is not an unknown phenomenon. We face this every time we put our clothes in the dryer. Do our clothes shrink? No, but they definitely feel smaller, and that is simply because they are void of all of the moisture that they have absorbed from your body and the atmosphere while you were wearing them. So I went a little bit longer because we are in North Carolina. And it is in fact very humid here. Ooh, hot. All right, let's go ahead and get this lined up with our transfer. Our goal is to do the fan and the pouch double-sided and have it just line up. So we printed our transfers like so, and we want to go ahead and line them up perfectly. You need some sort of a light source to be able to do this. Now you can try holding it in front of a lamp. That's always an option as well. But this light up pad is probably one of my favorite purchases. I don't really use it a ton, but I use it enough to make it have been worth the money. So what we're doing is we're really just looking to make sure that this lines up and everything looks nice and crisp. And then also try and get it folded just right in the process. Everything is harder when we're looking around the camera. All right, there we go. I think we're good. Now the purpose of this, instead of just folding in half and trusting the process, is that because the fan and the pouch are so thin, we want to try and have this lined up as perfectly as possible so that there won't be any bleed through from either side that's going to make it look not great. So I think if I zoom in, maybe you guys can see this a little bit better. You can see when I hold that down, our design looks nice and crisp. That's what we want. And then it's just as simple as popping in our substrate. Now I do want to use a little bit of adhesive spray for this. Adhesive spray is just going to be the best option. And really, I do mean a very little bit. I'm going to bring down a piece of blowout paper just so I don't get adhesive spray all over our thing, all over our lighting tablet. I'm just using quilter's basting spray. I've used all kinds of adhesive sprays over the years. Anything that is temporary and repositionable is all that you're looking for. This I picked up at like Joann's or something. One can will definitely last a while. So we're gonna do just, my goals of not hitting the light up thing failed, but we just want a little bit. Place it however you would like it to be in there, and then fold it down. Now we only need to do one side because again, this is very thin. So this is ready for us to press. We'll just slide that out of the way. And we'll go ahead and repeat the same thing with our other piece. So once again, we're trying to line everything up as perfectly as possible. Since we did do full bleed, we have at least that edge to help us. But you will find when you do this, it can very easily be off by just the tiniest little bit. It might not be very noticeable to your customer, but a lot of us makers are a bit more nitpicky. And so because we tend to notice flaws a little bit more than our customers do. So before I crease it, I always like to just rub my finger around, make sure everything really does look like it is centered. And then go across the middle and then slide it out. And then once again, kind of hold it down. You can see everything looks nice and crisp. That's what we want. Same as before. Let's go ahead and put our fan in here. Our fan is a little bit tight because of our pre-press, and that's okay. We're not going to stress about that. I promise it'll be okay in the end. This is one of those trust the process kind of moments. So I'm going to grab that blowout paper, give this a good shake. Get some adhesive spray on there. And then come over here. Go ahead and center that. Good. Fold that in half. Fantastic. All right, let's pop this up on our press. We are back over here at Blue the Fusion IQ. We want to make sure that we have blowout paper underneath and on top for this project, just so any bleed through does not end up on either of our platens. So again, we are doing this at 385 degrees for 60 seconds with medium firm pressure. Now with the blowout paper and the transferent added in, it is a little bit more firm, but that's okay. It's not really going to impact this particular project. You only have to worry about that when you're doing something that's really sensitive to the heat. Also, anything that is full bleed, you're not really worried about things like press lines. So these disc fans are great for all types of uses all year round. Of course, it's summer right now, so thinking about the beach is always on our mind, but people take vacations to the beach all year round, so that's something to remember. These are really ideal for wedding and graduation season, especially because a lot of times people are outside, it can be really hot, they're already looking for fans. This is a great option that is affordable and a great wholesale item or a bulk item that you can be marketing. So we've got just about 10 more seconds. You are going to want your heat glove for this because that metal wire in there is going to be hot. Okay, so I got my heat gloves ready, and what we're going to do is flip these because we want to do them on both sides. So very carefully, I like to just hold it down, flip. Same with the fan. Hold it together and flip. Cover it back up with our blow-up paper and do it for another 385 degrees for 60 seconds. So as I was saying, this item is really perfect for doing bulk ordering for different type of events, especially those that are happening during the summer. So think about weddings, graduations, outdoor sporting events, concert series. All of those things are times where people are out, they're out in the heat, they're looking to stay cool, and this is a really great option for that. I like that this is better than like a little neck fan or something that is kind of bulky that needs to be charged. This fits conveniently in your pocket, which is great. They're, again, very affordable to produce. They have great markup as a result of that. They're a good item in beach towns to have, especially for the tourist crowd, and so on. So be sure to check out the marketing guide inside of the Sub That Learning Library app to see some different ideas for how to most effectively sell these and make the most money. All right, had to get my gloves on there. And we'll bring you guys back on down again. See if I can get you a little bit better view here. All right. I'm gonna keep one glove on because I know that that wire is gonna be really hot. So first up is our pouch. It blended in so well, I didn't even see it. Okay. So here's our pouch. It looks fantastic. I mean, when we flip this over and over, seamless, fantastic. All right, and then our fan, same thing. Our fan is a little bit warped from the heat. That's okay. What we can do is just, while that wire is hot, we're gonna mold it back just a little bit. Now this just happens because this fabric is tightening up and it's pulling that thin wire frame, but we can just pull it a little bit to its side and get it back more into a round disc. But you can see beautiful transfer on both sides. Everything looks nice and even. This actually came out fantastic. We got great transfer all around our edges too. That could be a struggle for some people, especially with that wire in there. The key is, of course, always going to be to have enough pressure when you're doing it. You can see we got a good indent there. So if this is cooled off, yes. So once we have this cooled off, we can put it back in our pouch. So again, all you do to put these in the pouch is just twist. Oop. Twist, and they should fold right in on themselves. And then slide it on in there. And there you have it, your perfect little disc fan, great for summer, great for all kinds of summer events. Thank you so much for joining us for this Beach Week tutorial, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.